Hachette Audio presents Plentiful Country, the Great Potato Famine and the Making of Irish New York. Written by Tyler Anbinder. Read by David Mccusker. Includes a bonus PDF of illustrations and photographs. The first generation thinks about survival. The ones that follow tell the stories. Hua Su, stay true. Introduction. How had he fallen so far, so fast? Thomas D. Norris must surely have asked himself that question as he stood in Battery Park at the southern tip of Manhattan, probably in his dark blue woolen Civil War uniform, beseeching passers-by to purchase an apple so he could support himself and his 4 children. Only a few years earlier, Norris had been an officer in the United States Army, commanding a company of nearly 100 Irish-American soldiers, whose uniforms and weapons he had paid for out of his own pocket. Norris had been able to do so because he was the proprietor of 2 successful lower Manhattan clothing shops. That he had managed to open those establishments less than a decade after fleeing Ireland's Great Potato Famine was even more remarkable. Yet now, Norris was hawking apples in rain and snow, heat and cold, just 2 blocks from the very spot where he had presided over his flagship retail location on South Street until the beginning of the war. In his first decade in New York, Norris had been the very personification of the American dream. Born in 1827 in Killarney, a town of 7,000 residents in mountainous southwest Ireland, Norris learned the tailor's trade in his teens and managed to survive 4 years of famine before immigrating to the United States at age 24 in 1851. By that point, New York was already the garment manufacturing capital of the Americas, and Norris quickly found work for one of the city's hundreds of clothing wholesalers or retailers. Not long after his arrival, Norris married Anne Hannon, who had also emigrated from Ireland in 1851. They had 3 children, 2 girls and then a boy over the course of the next few years, and a 4th in 1863. Norris could have continued working indefinitely for wages as a journeyman tailor in New York. Even though that job did not pay well by American standards, he and Anne would have been far better off than they had been in Ireland, where employment was never reliable and Catholics like the Norrises had few political rights. But Thomas was too ambitious to settle for the back-breaking, poorly paid life of a journeyman tailor. Instead, he and Anne scrimped and saved, and by 1855 they had accumulated enough capital to open their own clothing shop in Ward 9 on West Street at West 10th Street facing the northernmost, least-used Hudson River piers.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?